Dragon Ball Super started anew with the Broly movie, and since then we've been pacing towards a focus on characters and what makes them unique, rather than the focus on just Goku and Vegeta from Super's first half. In the Moreau saga, we got to see all of the Dragon Team get their spotlight and join the Galactic Patrol against Moreau and the Space Criminals. In the Granola arc, we witnessed Ultra Ego, Vegeta's unique awakening specifically to him. And it fits his character. There's nothing like Super from before the Broly movie, where it seems like Goku just stood head and shoulders above the rest. Everyone has gotten a transformation unique to them. But now there's a new Dragon Team, a new group. Goku has Ultra Instinct, Vegeta has Ultra Ego. In addition to that, we have the special controlled Super Saiyan form for Broly, where he can now control his wrath. Thanks to the superhero movie, we have Beast Gohan and Orange Piccolo, two unique forms that are special to them specifically and about their characters and can stand side to side with Ultra Ego and Ultra Instinct. And all these characters and forms are highlighted in the epilogue of the Dragon Ball Super's manga arc for Superhero. They were all shown to be of similar power, but they weren't the only characters who got focused in that arc. Goten and Trunks fought with them, sharing the spotlight. Goten and Trunks needed to fight together as Super Saiyans to match Gohan's power. It's clear that Dragon Ball is teasing a Teen Gotenks as an ultra-level transformation for Goten and Trunks. Maybe even cementing Super Saiyan 3 as an iconic transformation by putting Super Saiyan 3 Teen Gotenks on the level of the others, like Ultra Instinct and Beast Gohan. But with just how much these new transformations are so character-focused and have such an aura of power, I feel fusion isn't really good enough or unique enough to make the power-ups feel warranted. It isn't really unique to them or speak to them as unique characters. And if anything, that kind of plays into the flaw of Goten and Trunks, where they don't stand enough on their own, and it seems like they're always together. When you look at Piccolo's orange form, it came from an appreciation of all he's done for Earth and as a Namekian warrior who's protected the Earth and Namek, and he's rewarded for that by Shenron. This is something only Piccolo could have. No one else could have had that. Ultra Instinct is the ultimate utilization of Roshi's teachings, and Roshi's teachings passed down onto Goku, and it speaks for what Goku is constantly growing into throughout the series. No one else could have mastered Ultra Instinct. Obviously, like the angels obviously use it, but Goku specifically uses Ultra Instinct in a way that is unique to him. Ultra Ego is the same, of course, as what Ultra Instinct is to Goku is what Ultra Ego is to Vegeta. Beast Gohan is unique to him. No one else is going to have Beast because it has to do with his rage and his human lineage. And you could argue maybe Ox King has something to do with it. We don't really know, but that could be where the Beast comes from, on top of the rage. And you could also argue that's passed down by Chi-Chi. And also his ultimate form, which he went through the ritual to unlock. And Broly, of course, Super Saiyan Wrath. No one else has have that. He's seen the legendary Super Saiyan. And even though that's not exactly canon, he still feels like the Saiyan above all the others in his strength. And that goes into his development and his new form of controlled Super Saiyan. So his controlled Super Saiyan is very unique compared to the others, because there's a Wrath in there that's completely controlled, and you could say that's similar to Beast Gohan, but Beast is so unique from Super Saiyan that it's not, you can't really compare them. But when all of their transformations are so unique to their characters and their characters' growths and journeys, what can Goten and Trunks receive as a transformation to put them on that level that's going to match those and be as valid as those? But before we get into the meat of the video, I do have to say, only 2% of my viewers are actually subscribed, and it would benefit us both greatly if you subscribed. Then you could see my videos on your feed, which would improve your algorithm, because it'd do your algorithm a favor and give you more Dragon Ball, more anime videos, and you would get them on your feed just naturally, just based on subscribing. You'd see what you like more often. And it'd be better if you turn on notifications, but I know that's a lot to ask for, so just pretend I didn't ask. But on to the video. Let's start with Trunks, right? So for Trunks, the obvious is going to be using future Trunks for inspiration, right? So he has the Super Saiyan Rage form from Dragon Ball Super's anime, right? and we could use that for inspiration, right? And even the spirit sword is its own kind of transformation. It's a technique, but it's almost like a transformation, so it changes his outline so much. But this transformation is pretty panned from the fan base, right? The fan base didn't really take to it, and we haven't seen it since then. Not even much in supplementary material, right? So I don't really think anyone's interested in seeing that become something permanent or exploring it more. Besides that, I think we should definitely cement this Trunks, present Trunks, as has its own character with its own motivations, his own journey. So let's set them on different paths, you know, different experiences, different transformations. Though we could still use a connection between them as inspiration, right? So I think first we should give this Trunks a sword, right? A sword that is reminiscent of Future Trunks' sword, right? So Future Trunks got his sword somehow, but we haven't really seen how. But it could be implied how he got the sword if we see something similar happen to present Trunks. And that happens exactly in the classic non-canon movie Wrath of the Dragon, which was the last Dragon Ball movie of the Dragon Ball Z release schedule before GT started airing. So, and the movie focused on Trunks and another character, Tapion, and Trunks has his own arc. He's the main character, and he was feeling lonely because Goten had this big brother and Gohan, and they would hang out together all the time, right? And even Gohan, would be with Videl and Goten, right? And they would be like a family, but Trunks would feel lonely. Trunks he didn't really have an older brother figure, and he was jealous of Goten a little bit. And of course he wasn't like mean about it, but it still affected him, and he didn't have like the role model of Gohan, like Goten had. But Tapion was introduced, right? And Tapion fulfilled that role for Trunks, and that is a very emotional, arc through the movie of Trunks learning to trust Tapion and then seeing him as an older brother figure, going to understand each other, and it was all through Tapion. He kind of got over the loneliness because of it, but at the end of the movie, Tapion has to leave. But Trunks is given Tapion's sword as a reminder of him and all the journey they went through together. And that's what makes the sword special, because it's a reminder of his older brother figure, of Tapion. Getting an enchanted sword from space should already be a huge upgrade for Trunks. And of course, if we adapt Wrath of the Dragon current day, it would still be Trunks maturing and growing responsible. He's still not really mature in the current manga. So we could get him to learn to trust people and be kind of confident in himself and confident in his relationships with others if he gets this new brave sword in the movie and goes through the arc, or an adaptation of the movie, whether they do it in a movie or a manga saga or whatever. But I think the brave sword would have an enchantment, right? And that enchantment could go through the sword and combine with Trunks and combine with his Super Saiyan form and create a new transformation for Trunks that is like a magical Super Saiyan 2, and the enchantment would surround Trunks and transform his Super Saiyan state further to the point of matching Beast or Ultra Instinct, right? And this would be brave Trunks empowered by the brave sword when he remembers, his older brother figure, and it'll be in an emotional moment where he can unlock this transformation. So it'd be a connection to Future Trunks, because the sword is it's reminiscent of Future Trunks, but still a story that would be unique to this Trunks. And yeah, Future Trunks would probably have went through a similar story of how he got his sword, but we're not going to focus on that because this is Kid Trunks' story, and it's special that he is able to get that and get his own growth aside from Future Trunks, who would have had his own story. So Trunks would have brave Trunks, but Goten is a little bit different because he doesn't have really his own story, and I feel like he stands out less than Trunks. He doesn't have a future counterpart like Trunks. He doesn't have his own movie. Even still in the modern day, he still kind of feels like Trunks' sidekick, because even in the manga right now, he feels like he was not the main character. It was Trunks as the main character in the manga arc that featured them front and center. I think compared to Trunks, Goten does not need to find an inner fulfillment that Trunks would be looking for, because Goten has Gohan, and he's a very like happy family. He has connections to all these people, to the flying Nimbus. He's chilling. He doesn't have the same flaws as Trunks that he needs to work through. So let's look at what Goten was when he was introduced and see if that could inspire anything, right? So he was a mirror of Kid Goku, the Goku from the original Dragon Ball. The excitable, pure boy who loves to fight. He looks exactly like Kid Goku. So let's see if we can latch onto that to move Goten forward, right? So what if at some point Goten unlocks Super Saiyan 4? And it would be in a future arc where, a very tough battle, right? And this would be an acknowledgement of Kid Goku's connection to the Great Ape form. So Goten is carrying on the spirit of Kid Goku, comparing Kid Goku turning Ozaru to Goten turning Super Saiyan 4. And it would be equivalence, but a modernization and him doing it his own way. And if we combine this with, like, let's say Goten takes the power pole in Nimbus, and he would take on the image of Kid Goku, but as his kind of a almost alternate universe where Kid Goku stayed on his trajectory that he was on before Goku kind of turned into his own character that was less, who were taken away from the Nimbus and the power pole. And yeah, there's going to be people complaining about that's just what he is, a Kid Goku ripoff or whatever. So we want to advance and past that, but we still want to pay tribute to that. That's an important part of his character, and one of the primary reasons he seems to have been created, to reminisce on Kid Goku. So we want to represent that and use it to move him into the future with something new, but that's connected to that. So I think there should be a way he could fuse with the Flying Nimbus while he's in Super Saiyan 4, and that could be made into a transformation like Sun Wukong. So Sun Wukong is obviously the character that inspired Goku in the early days of Dragon Ball. That's what Goku is based on, and the entire, early portion of Dragon Ball is based on that. And bringing that back into the current time as Goten would be something they haven't really done before. They haven't really referenced Sun Wukong in a very long time. It would kind of be like almost a what if Goku was, or Dragon Ball in general, was more focused on Sun Wukong, right? What would Goku look like now if he kept on the Sun Wukong influence in him? So we're going to take that and put that to Goten. So Goten would unlock this Sun form where he is reminiscent of Sun Wukong. And it is a multi-meaning title of Sun Goten, right? Because it's a reference to his name, Sun Goten, to Sun Wukong, and of course the sun, as in the star in the sky, because Goten is kind of like a bright figure in Dragon Ball, right? He's usually the happy-go-lucky figure, so him being named Sun Goten would kind of reference the brightness of him. So Sun Goten would be a transformation with like 3 different meanings, but it would represent a heavenly vibe, a carefree nirvana for Goten. It would be a reward for Goten staying true to his fun-loving, caring self, right? So the challenges Trunks goes through is growing and changing as a person, getting past his flaws and insecurities and loneliness. But I feel Goten's arc should be more like him understanding what makes himself good and being able to stay true to that. So as a reward for staying true to his fun-loving, caring self, kind self, that's what would give him this unique Super Saiyan 4 transformation, Sun Goten. And we've seen redesigns from artists that really try to encapsulate this kind of Sun Wukong Super Saiyan 4 with love to the original Dragon Ball and Sun Wukong influence. And that could easily be given to Goten, because Goku has his own trajectory. He already has Ultra Instinct. So it wouldn't really be right to just suddenly give him that now of all times, because Ultra Instinct feels like the ultimate one. But Goten's trajectory is in flux. Like, we don't know anything about where Goten is leading other than Team Gotenks. But if we want Goten to stand on his own, this would be my idea for that, Sun Goten. And I think the arc where he unlocks the transformation should be an original arc, not based on a previous villain or previous movie, not like superhero bringing back Red Ribbon Army, or like my idea for Trunks bringing back, Wrath of the Dragon. For Trunks, that's kind of a tribute to future Trunks, because future Trunks went back in time, save his world. And for Kid Trunks, it would be Trunks going in the real world, going back in time and taking a story from the past and kind of reintroducing it. But Goten, it would be an original arc with an original villain to reference Goku being the trailblazer, and he was going through all these original, unique, new adventures, all unique, all original. And so Goten's arc where he unlocks the power, his new power would be the same, and probably a villain who is kind of like a bastardization of Goku's love to fight, right? So a villain who would just like loves to fight no matter what and lets things, lets the world get in the way of it, right? So he kind of harms the world and other people because he just wants to fight to the death with other people. I guess that's kind of like a similar motivation to Cell, but I think we should go about it in a different way where it's a villain more as opposite to Goten, right? So a villain that would try to push Goten to fight, but Goten would have a very different approach because he's nothing like Gohan than Cell. But I think the villain would have similar motivation to Cell. But of course, that is just my idea. But I think Goten would defeat this villain by reaching a state of calm and understanding and knowledge that that's not what fighting is about, and that's not what his family, fights for, not for pure violence or victory. And through that, he would reach a state where he is calm and carefree, and that's what unlocks Son Goten. He's empowered through that, and his, Super Saiyan 4 transformation fuses with Nimbus, and that unlocks Son Goten. It's kind of like Luffy reaching Gear 5 in One Piece, because a transformation is also kind of like it, but that's just because they're both inspired by Sun Wukong, and One Piece probably inspired by Dragon Ball as well. This idea for transformation is not inspired by One Piece, obviously, because Sun Wukong influence, way predates One Piece, and obviously predates Dragon Ball itself. But yeah, it would be Goten encapsulating the loving to fight, goofy Goten, empowering him. It's a reward for him being, staying a good guy, At the end of the day, with these two ideas, Trunks gets the new Brave Trunks transformation, where an enchantment on his sword given to him by his older brother figure Tapion extends to his Super Saiyan 2 form and protects and empowers him. Goten gets Son Goten, where his Super Saiyan 4 merges with the Flying Nimbus to reach a state of near nirvana that powers him up and plays up his playful personality. This also makes multiple Super Saiyan forms highlighted still in modern times. So Broly represents Super Saiyan 1, a fully controlled legendary Super Saiyan. Trunks represents Super Saiyan 2 because that's what he uses as a base for his Brave form. It's a modification of Super Saiyan 2 to a new form, but it still highlights Super Saiyan 2. Goten represents Super Saiyan 4 because it's a Super Saiyan 4 modified through connection to the Nimbus. And Super Saiyan 3, it's kind of shafted in my idea, but that's kind of how it is in canon. Super Saiyan 3 never gets a highlight, it kind of gets shafted and not treated as big a deal as the other 3 Super Saiyan forms. But I guess that's just how it is. That's just how it is in canon. But I do have one nitpick with my Goten idea. So I kind of think in whatever story it could happen in, right? They could make it feel natural for that, because we know, but Super Saiyan 4 we know is achievable because of Daima, and it can be canon. Obviously, I think Super Saiyan 4 should be introduced in a previous arc before he turns into Son Goten, but I feel like that should be something saved for Pan, right? Because I feel like Super Saiyan 4, it debuted in GT, and so did Pan, and it felt like it should have been Pan's show, right? Like she feels like she should have kind of been the main character. She was, the new character to really get the focus, and feels like she should have been given the opportunities and maybe better stories where she could be the one to get Super Saiyan 4. And I feel like they might want to do that in the future to give Pan Super Saiyan 4. And in the superhero movie, we see so much focus on Pan, and she's really, getting set up to be the future. So in the future, it should be Pan that gets Super Saiyan 4. But since Super Saiyan 4 was included in Daima, it's not like they're saving Super Saiyan 4 for Pan like we could have theorized before. So I don't know if the creatives behind Dragon Ball, like Toyotaro or Capsule Corp or Shueisha, I don't think they or the fans would want to wait super long till we get to the point where Pan would be the main character. I think it would take years and years before a Pan project sees the light, just based on how slow the Dragon Ball timeline has been moving recently. I don't think people want to wait that long to see Super Saiyan 4 and after Daima. So I think it's fine for Goten to get it before Pan, and you know, have her, and hopefully she gets her own thing eventually, and she can get her own transformation or go through her own journey. So I see the new Dragon Team, new main cast is Ultra Instinct Goku, Ultra Ego Vegeta, Beast Gohan, Orange Piccolo, Super Saiyan controlled Broly, or Super Saiyan Wrath controlled Broly. He'll probably get a better name in the future, but as of what we know as we know right now, he basically just unlocked the form, and that's what we know. And then I would present, to add Goten and Trunks for that, Brave Trunks, and Son Goten. And with this, I'd say probably Broly would be the next one to kind of have the next advancement, have his transformation and power. You know, maybe something a little more catchy and showy than just Super Saiyan controlled Broly. You know, something like how Beast Gohan is like a real utilization of controlled rage. Something like that, but for Broly. But, you know, still sticking with the Super Saiyan aesthetic. But maybe, you know, canonize Legendary Super Saiyan with the green aesthetic for him. But that's all for this video. Let me know what you thought of my ideas. Good or bad, whatever your opinions are. I'd love to hear feedback. But if you do, I want to hear what you would do, and you can't say don't include them at all, because they're set up as the future. So I want to see them, and I want to see them now because they were set up in the past. So subscribe for more, and comment your thoughts. Thanks for watching.